So I'm at Washington on the Brazos State Historic Site. This is where the first English-speaking people settled in the state of Texas. So this is the location of the old town site, and it doesn't look like there's much left here. But I can't go through the history of Anglo-Texas without first discussing the Spanish. And so back in the late 1600s, France established a presence along the Gulf Coast and Mississippi River, and this turned Spain's eyes toward Texas. Frenchmen were discovered among the Native Americans in East Texas, and Spain decided to take action. The first Spanish mission attempt was in 1690 in East Texas, but that was abandoned a couple years later. The first semi-permanent mission was established in Nacogdoches in 1716, followed by San Antonio in 1718. These were largely established because Spain wanted to keep Texas out of the hands of the French. So fast forward just over 100 years after the first Spanish missions in Texas, in the last days of Spanish rule over Texas and Mexico, in January of 1821, the Spanish government approved a petition from Moses Austin to settle 300 families east of San Antonio. His son Stephen would carry out his father's wishes. Stephen Austin explored the area during the summer, and in the fall of 1821, a few months after Mexico became independent from Spain, his first settlers arrived. A man by the name of Andrew Robinson came here to Washington on the Brazos. This settlement was very important in the years of the colony and the Texas Republic. Many government meetings were held here, including the signing of the Texas Declaration of Independence in March of 1836. This remained an important town until the late 1850s, when they turned down the railroad. And so after this, inevitably, the town declined. And so there's Independence Hall. So this is actually a reconstruction of the original Independence Hall. It's probably very close to what it actually looked like. So if you take your time as you go through here, you can really learn a lot about Texas history. A wealth of information at this museum. Really nice. Beautiful mural right here. So if you come to Washington on the Brazos, be sure to visit Barrington Farm, the home of Dr. Anson Jones, the last president of the Republic of Texas. So this style of home was very typical in frontier Texas. This was known as a dog run. You had one room on each side with an opening in the middle.
Are you okay? Oh, that scared me. Don't you ever bite my finger.
Oh, he's looking at me with his one eye.
One eye?
Yeah, just like.
You're like this.
The eyes are on the side of his head.
This farm really is a lovely place to walk around. I get a glimpse of how the early settlers lived in the Brazos River Valley in the mid-1800s. Remember, he'll eat your fingers. So now I've traveled quite a bit further south along the Brazos River to San Felipe. So around the year 1822, San Felipe de Austin was established and became the capital of the colony. Over the next 10 years, Stephen Austin helped over 1,500 families settle this area. Unfortunately, during the Texas Revolution, Sam Houston ordered the town to be burned down during the runaway scrape. Basically, the long retreat across Texas to the east. And he did this so that the Mexican army couldn't resupply. This was during the spring of 1836. And the town never recovered. Strategically, I can understand why Sam Houston ordered the town of San Felipe to be burned down. But I sure wish he hadn't done it. Some of the earliest historic buildings of Texas were lost. And so this house right here is another example of a dog run. This is the typical style of the Texas frontier days. So this church was built in the year 1837. It's made out of cypress wood, and that is what has allowed it to survive all these years. It's one of the last few historic buildings left in this area. So the museum here in San Felipe is really nice. Well done. Great job, Texas. So this is a pretty sweet rendition of what San Felipe once looked like. And it's interactive. So you can learn all about it. Pretty cool. Lots of reading material in this museum. You can learn a lot about Texas history. So it looks like you get a nice timeline of events during the Texas Revolution on the wall here. It started in 1828. Progressing through the first shots fired, the siege of the Alamo, the runaway scrape, San Felipe being burned down. What a sad day that must have been. So here's some exciting news about San Felipe. They're actually restoring a part of the town to look like it once did back in the 1820s. So here's a sneak peek. This should be finished spring, summer of 2021. This will be a great place to stop and check out here in the near future. And by the time I release this video, it may already be open.